Here we are with our next edition, and we have, well, I would say categorize you as a lot of things.
Yeah.
NYU, but let's have you before I go really
Do a quick
into it.
some
Yeah.
bona fides.
Hear it,
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's super great to be here. Love being at the Facades conference, and big shout out to the Architects newspaper for putting this on. It's great, and also Big, which is one of the sponsors or one of the groups.
Co-chairs.
Yeah. Bjarke is a good friend. I've known him since he was like this small, and now he's a giant. So love that guy. And Kai, wherever you are. Hi, Kai. Love you too. Saw you drinking in the morning. And this gets edited, so we're all good with that, right? But you put that out. So I'm Mitch, Dr. Mitch Joachim. I'm an architect and urban designer, co-founder of Terraform One. We're a national nonprofit based in Brooklyn, New York, in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And been doing this work now 20 years. I'm also a full professor at NYU, where I teach at Gallatin on individualized study. So I help students who want to combine things like higher mathematics and economics and violin, and you make your own major. And that's a major I just made up right now, but it's a kind of choose your own verse education. A lot of the work we do is in research, and that research is heavy into sustainability. And a lot of things come down to this demising line, which is the facade between the built environment and the environment itself. And I don't really see a facade as a very clear point. That's for me, theoretically. I think it bleeds into the building, the cause and effect. Like 30 feet in, you'll get effects easily for facades. And then everything on the exterior and what that means for a socio-ecological system. So we're doing some work that I'm going to show in about an hour on butterflies and facades. It's a sanctuary for keeping them alive. Other projects that are called multi-species designs for facades, which we occasionally do. We do that today with things like a planter on a facade. I think we've had some great conversations with the building department in New York City about, can we do this animal on a facade? And we've heard some really gruff answers like, I don't care if there's a cat on your fire escape. That's not in the code.
So have you, well, let me ask you this, because you said that at the core it's sustainability, and Terraform's coming out in 20 years.
We're going to be 20 years old. Yeah, 2006. Yeah, we're a couple months.
Have you been preaching a lot of the same mantra over the years? Are things being heard or received today differently than they were in the past, whether it's code-driven, policy-driven, or just the theme of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I really respect that. The word preach, for sure. I have no religious affectation, but it is like, I'm very passionate. Our entire team is about the environment. Have been like that since I've been in school, and not much has changed. Well, actually, the change has been maybe for the worse, and I don't want to be Mr. Anthropocene apocalypse guy, but it hasn't improved. And I know there's a lot of smart people in engineering, especially in products with facades, that want to make the world green. And it has been this nonstop litany or mantra of, hey, let's do things that have a real impact on the environment, that count more for not only humans, but for the world around us. It just comes down to some serious facts, like it's economics, it's longevity. Like, you can't make a facade out of materials that will decay. And there's things that have been around for centuries, glass and steel. There's good materials.
Concrete.
For sure, concrete. And we don't have bio-based alternatives that work to that level. Mass timber, CLT, yes, the most extent, but it's still not, it's great. I mean, please, more of that, but it's still not convincing for so many different programs and types, scales, and also client needs. So it requires all of us to be educating our clients also willing to absorb the impact. Actually, I don't think they're going to absorb the impact. I think they want to do it because it's joyful, it's phenomenal, works well, and makes sense financially.
So are you supporting architects, material suppliers, contractors, or all the above?
We got to get to the whole kit and caboodle. Every part of the animal needs to be on board, because we work cohesively. It's a choreography. Like, certainly people who control the facade have a lot of authority in that area, but there's going to be, you're reacting to city codes, you're reacting to energy policy, you're reacting to your client's needs. And it does make sense if you can compare and contrast the benefits of doing something for the environment versus not. Like we had a whole added value argument for our butterfly facade. And the idea is that it's an amenity. And the concept was not a single square footage of space was lost. We extended the facade to a double skin. It's about 3 feet in total. It's a mass timber design. And then on the inside, the amenity is a vertical meadow teeming with biodiversity, teeming with life, and all of the nutrients and needs that butterflies, in this case, monarchs, I should be specific, need to get their population jump started again. And we took them as a client. I know our client is great, and probably watching, but he too agrees that like the monarch butterfly, which is native to New York and going extinct, perhaps we can make a project that builds some awareness and do it in the skin of a building and do it as an amenity. So when people rent spaces in that building, they look out their window and that window is fecund and rich with all kinds of biodiverse activity. And it's porous and allows for the influx of air and rain, not all of it, but the right amounts, and engineered to a T to accept the fact that these kinds of mammalian life forms will thrive inside there. We have that capability. It's just we've chosen not to do it.
How do you, and sorry for interrupting, my brain's going a lot of different places. How do you balance something that's very relevant and you're passionate about today versus coming forward with an everlasting design, knowing these buildings are going to be in place for decades or maybe a century? Yeah. And something that you were super passionate about 10 years ago that might not be so relevant today? Loaded question.
Yeah, it's a two-parter. The first thing is, for instance, for facades, we work directly with the chemical source. So we were sponsored by BASF for a long time, biggest German chemical company there is. And we worked with their team to rethink the chemistry of concrete. They did most of that chemical work, created a product called Green Sense. And I don't work for BASF. We're a nonprofit. They were funding our research, no strings attached. And they no longer have Green Sense. So I'm going to skip to the end about that. So they made a concrete that was as green as possible, impregnated with fly ash, absolutely brilliant, fireproof, structural, could last 200 years. Absolutely amazing. We did a panelized system for the facade. All of that was also built in with the geometry for the needs of the monarch butterfly, how their proboscis drinks, chrysalis stages, mud bathing, butterflies mud bathe. It's kind of fun to know that. All of that's inside the geometry of that concrete. And we have something that meets all the constraints. So we do the heavy engineering first, solve that. And then what's left over, usually I'm going to say 10%, we think about where design can make it fabulous. And part of that programming and engineering is also the life cycle of an organism. So that's there. But we want to make it look fabulous because people have to look at it and they're like, well, you want to build in desire for that.
Are you typically attracting an architect, or like you said, everybody has to be on board? So yeah. Are you trying to sell the owner, or you're working through the architect to have them sell their dream to the owner?
Yeah, well, we are architects and engineers ourselves. We're also cell biologists, entomologists. We have an odd team of people. And our clients are first and foremost some species at the edge of life. So like that's what we do the work, and the research is funded by all different types of groups. 4 times National Endowment for the Arts winners, recently NISCA supported all kinds of grants where we choose an insect or a mammal and build around that first. And our engineering team and architecture team goes there first. And then clients come in secondary, where they saying like, well, I don't know a building like this in New York. Can we have it? And we're like, of course. You want to do some research together? Great. And then we're more than happy to hand it off to other teams so they can take it from there. But as far as the other question, like it's working on this almost for 20 years and seeing very little movement of that needle. It's hard. But when I was in school, no one talked about sustainability. I was trained in the 90s, not to date myself, but I loved it. And everything we wore all black, still doing that here, apparently. And we talked about deconstruction.
They didn't know it.
And if you'd said solar panels, you were done.
Right. So what,
I'm glad that's changed. It takes a long time for things to change.
have on a closing note, do you feel now that you're getting, I don't want to say more traction, but you've gotten traction and you have proof of concept and you see the buildings, you could feel it, you could sell it more than just a concept.
Yeah.
Does that give you more energy today to continue to do what you're doing?
I think so. It's a good question because every once in a while you question why you're here, what is it you're doing. Life can kind of be a bit of a downer. And then every so often something encourages you. So we had Norman Foster came by just one day. It's like, I love your work. I'm like, I love you.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I love you. Can you come to our foundation? And we get this kind of level of encouragement, and that's good. I think like it takes some time before things reach fruition, and that's part of it. I mean, I remember when Zaha Hadid had designed the Maxi in Rome, and this was in the early 90s. It took 20 years before she was standing in that building. And it's a phenomenal building. Or Daniel Libeskind didn't build anything until he was like 50. And then Jewish Museum in Berlin, amazing. I think architects should allow themselves the space and time to experiment, get it right, and then when you do push it forward, it does make a significant difference. I mean, I worked for Gary for years. Bilbao was a game changer. Nothing to do for the environment, but yeah, all titanium. But wow, what a building.
Yep.
So that excites me. And I think the industry will sort of move with that when it makes sense for people to, they've got to earn, they got to pay mortgages, they've got kids. It's like you can't just pivot overnight. So I'm well aware of the practicality. So it's Bjarke calls it, I'm quoting you, Bjarke, was it sustainable hedonism or practical utopianism or practical utopias? I get that. So you got to solve the things that make sense and then allow for that room to flourish in culture and life and joy.
Takes time. Well, looking forward to hearing the full talk soon.
Yeah.